Hello everyone, this is Life Education and I'm Harshita Soni from Jodhpur. Today we're going to study biology and the chapter which is biological classification. Okay, just mind my handwriting. I'm not so used to writing on the boards and stuff. So let's see. Classification. Why do we need classification? What is the need for classification? What does classification means? So we're studying biology. In biology, biology is very diverse. Biology is a study of geography, like the earth, the world, the organisms and stuff. So these organisms and the area that are related to these organisms are very diverse. And to study these diverse organisms, we have to classify them. So as to make the classification easy, so as to make the identification easy. So in biological classification, in biology, the early days of like science, when science started to take turn, Aristotle was a scientist, or we can say a philosopher basically. Aristotle, a philosopher. He was the earliest to provide a scientific basis on classification. Scientific basis on classification. Okay, so he was the earliest one to provide scientific basis on classification. What he did was he just took gross morphological characters. What do you mean by gross morphological characters? Okay, so the gross morphological characters are the characters that we all see. हम लोग देख सकते हैं, हम लोग देख के बता सकते हैं which one is plant and which one is animal. The ones which are moving, the ones which are living, breathing and stuff, these are animals. The ones which are like standing at their own place, some plants are moving also. But still, we can identify what are the plants and which ones are animals. So he also did that. He just took gross morphological characters. Gross morphological characters to classify plants and animals, basically plants and animals he did, but the idea was to classify organisms. So this was so early, like so early, when science has just taken place. So it was alright, it was obvious to see from his point of view that organisms are plants and animals basically. That time they didn't had seen like all these organisms and stuff. Like fungi was also included into plants and insects, and these are animalia. But some organisms like bacteria and all, these are included in animals. So let's see what Aristotle did. Aristotle classified plants and animals. He classified plants into three parts or three categories, which we can say trees, shrubs, and herbs. On the other hand, he classified animals also. He classified animals into two parts, Enyma and Anyma. What does Enyma and Anyma means? Okay, so Enyma means the animals having red blood. Red blood doesn't. And Anyma means animals, they have no red blood. Some other color of blood basically. Okay, so now that we know who was the earliest one to provide classification, let's go further into the future. In future, there was the origin of Linnaeus. He provided two kingdom classification. Okay, so before going on to the two kingdom classification, let me tell you something. We all know about five kingdom classification, right? Five kingdom classification provided by Irish Whittaker. He classified like Monera, Protista, Fungi, Animalia, Plantae, and all these things all together. But before that, before Irish Whittaker, there were a lot of attempts to classify organisms into various categories provided by them. So these were all like respected comments, but these were only based on morphological characters and stuff, and a few things. Not all on these evolutionary relationships, reproduction patterns, thallus organization, cell organization. All these stuff was not included in it. That is why they got failed, and the model of Irish Whittaker got selected, and that we are studying right now. Let's see two kingdom classification now. Two kingdom classification were provided by, as I said, Linnaeus. What he did was, we all know, plants and animals. These are the basic ones. If you have to classify these things and you forget sometimes, just include plants and animals as a constant. Like हम लोग कोई भी classification करें, like 2 kingdom, 3 kingdom, 4 kingdom, 5 kingdom, 6 kingdom, anyone just include plants and animals in it. 2 kingdoms तो ऐसे ही हो जाएंगे, like plants and animals are constants. Now that we are studying 2 kingdom classification, let's move on to 3 kingdom classifications also. So next we have 3 kingdom classification. 3 kingdom classification was provided by Ernst Haeckel. Ernst Haeckel, and he plants and animals are constant. We can call it Plantae and Animalia. As in we are studying biology, now these are Plantae and Animalia, not plants and animals anymore. So this is like biological nomenclature or something. Let's see what 3 kingdom classification includes, as in that doesn't have 2 kingdom classification. So it has Protista. No, not Monera, but yeah, Protista. It included Protista, Plantae, and Animalia. 3 kingdom classification provided by Ernst Haeckel. Now we have a 4 kingdom classification. Okay, we are studying 3 kingdom, 2 kingdom. Now it's time to study the 4 kingdom classification now. So let's say 4 kingdom. 4 kingdom classification was given by Copeland. Four kingdom classification given by Copeland. Copeland, it included 4 kingdoms, of course. First, we have these 3 kingdoms already classified, so these 3 kingdoms are like constants. Let's write them down here. Protista, Plantae, and Animalia. Isn't it cool to sound like Plantae and Animalia? Instead of sounding like plants and animals, Plantae and Animalia, it's like Plantae. It's a whole biological vibe going on over here. So let's see what 4 kingdom classification included. In extra was monads. Or we can say Monera, Protista, Plantae, and Animalia. This was 4 kingdom classification. Now we are going on to the 5th kingdom classification, which is, of course, so much famous. Everybody of us know about it. So 5th kingdom classification provided by Irish Whittaker. Everybody knows that, right? Irish Whittaker. These are all constants. यहाँ पे ऐसे थे आ जाएंगे. Now what next is plus fungi. Yeah. So Monera, Protista, fungi, Plantae, and Animalia. So actually, why am I calling like Monera, Protista, fungi, Plantae, and Animalia, and not Monera, Protista, Plantae, Animalia, and fungi? Is the reason is that these are more diverse organisms. And before Plantae, fungi are like before Plantae. In diversity, we can say that. These are more advanced animals. We are animalia. We come under animalia, like animals. So animals are the most advanced or diverse organisms. Before that plantae and before that fungi comes. So that is the reason why am I saying like Monera, Protista, fungi, plantae and animalia. Okay. So this was about 5 kingdom classification. One more point about 5 kingdom classification would be like what was the thing that made 5 kingdom classification so famous and so successful? So this was phylogenetic classification, like phylogenetic relationship basically. So the point comes in our minds is like, what is phylogenetic relationships? Phylogenetic means evolutionary relationship. So Irish Whittaker also considered phylogenetic relationships or evolutionary relationship which made this model successful, like which made this classification successful. Apart from this, he also included cell structure, like cell structure, thallus organization, mode of nutrition, reproduction, and phylogenetic reproduction relationship basically. Yeah, phylogenetic relationship that made the 5 kingdom classification more successful, famous, and advanced. Okay, so this was all about classification. But wait, this is not only about this is not about 5 kingdom like classification. We have one more type of classification over here, that is 6 kingdom classification. Sixth kingdom. Yeah, we haven't heard of sixth kingdom like more usually, but here we have a sixth kingdom classification also. That was not so famous, and that included all these 5 kingdom classification ones in it, so it was not that significant. But yeah, we have it. Sixth kingdom classification was provided by Gray and Doolittle. Gray and Doolittle provided 6 kingdom classification. What does 6 kingdom classification have? Is it has prokaryota and eukaryota. Prokaryota and eukaryota. So, okay, let's see what prokaryotes and eukaryotes are basically. Prokaryotes, primitive nucleus. Primitive nucleus. Primitive. Pro means primitive and karyota means nucleus. Primitive nucleus, what is a primitive nucleus like? So primitive nucleus is like the first form nucleus. When it was not that advanced and diverse, it was like without nuclear membrane. Nuclear membrane absent. Eukaryotes. What do we understand with eukaryote? Eu means true plus karyot means nucleus, right? And what is true nucleus is like? True nucleus is all advanced and like systematic. It has a nuclear membrane. This is what like distinguishes prokaryotes and eukaryotes, the nuclear structure. So now let's see what prokaryotes have. Prokaryotes includes, basically if we are looking at prokaryotes are bacteria. All the bacteria come under prokaryotes. But bacteria also have 2 categories. Bacteria are like archaebacteria are eubacteria. Archaebacteria or eubacteria. Archaebacteria were ancient bacteria. Eubacteria are true bacteria. We will study further about it when we are classifying monerans, that is prokaryota. Basically, prokaryota is monera. Now, what do we have in eukaryota? Okay, So it is also obvious that we have Monera. Now the four are left. Protista, fungi, plantae, and animalia. So this was all about six kingdom classification. But wait, like similar or identical to the six kingdom classification, there was a three domain system proposed by Carl Weiss. So let's see what three domain system is. So three domain system, Carl Weiss. It has three domains. That is Archaebacteria, which has Archaebacteria itself. Next we have Eukarya, and then bacteria. Archaebacteria has Archaebacteria. Let's come to this bacteria. Bacteria has prokaryotes. This is also prokaryote, right? But these prokaryotes have eubacteria. So the three domains separated eubacteria and Archaebacteria. Eukarya have all of these things. Okay, so this was all about six kingdom classification and three kingdom. Let's recap. Okay, let's recap. First we have two kingdom classification. No, before that we have Aristotle. Aristotle was the earliest one to provide classification system that was more basically scientific basis, and it was based on gross morphological characters, right? And he divided plants into trees, shrubs, and herbs, animals into Anaima and Enaima. Anaima means without red blood, and Enaima means with red blood. Now next we have this two kingdom classification. Two kingdom classification was proposed by Linnaeus. It includes Animalia and Plantae. After that, we have three kingdom classification. Three kingdom classification was proposed by what? Ernst Haeckel, right? Ernst Haeckel. It included Protista along with Plantae and Animalia. After that, we have a four kingdom classification. Four kingdom classification was proposed by Copeland, and it included Monera, Protista, Animalia, Plantae. Monera, Protista, Plantae, and Animalia, and not Animalia and Plantae, like advanced feature. This way we remember like which ones are more advanced and which ones are more primitive. So after that we have five kingdom classification, that is more advanced successful model of classification system provided by Arish Whittaker. It includes Monera, Protista, fungi, Plantae, and Animalia. After that we studied six kingdom classification, which is kind of new to our dictionary, right? That was provided by Gray and Doolittle. It includes Prokaryota and Eukaryota. In prokaryota are all monerans. Prokaryota have primitive nucleus, that without nuclear membrane. Eukaryota have true nucleus, that is with nuclear membrane. These prokaryota have two things, Archaebacteria and Eubacteria, that we are going to study in monerans also. So this is not a point of concern over here. But yeah, this is a point of concern that six kingdom separated Eubacteria and Archaebacteria, and gave us six kingdom classification all separate. After that we have Eukaryota. Eukaryota have Protista, fungi, Plantae, and Animalia. And next, the three domain classification system, which is almost similar to six kingdom classification, because it has also separated Eubacteria and Archaebacteria. So three domain classification system was provided by Carl Weiss. It includes Archaebacteria, which has Archaebacteria, Eukarya, which has all these Protista, fungi, Plantae, and Animalia, and bacteria, which has prokaryotes, that is Eubacteria. So this was all about classification. Next time we are going to study about monerans and protestants and like all of these fungi, plantae, animalia in different lectures. Like because these are all diverse. These all do have a different kingdoms. So we are going to study all that in deep. This was all an overview of classification system in biology. I have given you the like overview of the chapter. All right. Okay, so let's know a little deeper into it. Like it's just an overview of kingdoms, five kingdom classification. We have Monera, Protista, fungi, plantae, and animalia. And here we have cell type, cell wall, nuclear membrane, modern. This table is also given in class 11th NCERT, but let's see it over here. So cell type in Monera is prokaryotic, and all the other have eukaryotic cells. Cell wall in prokaryota is made up of polysaccharide plus amino acids. In Protista, it is present in some or doesn't have a cell wall. In fungi, the cell wall is made up of chitin, that is non-cellulosic. In plantae, the cell wall is made up of cellulose, and in animalia, cell wall is absent. Nuclear membrane. Monera, nuclear membrane is absent. Why? Because it is prokaryotic. All are eukaryotic, all does have a nuclear membrane. Now, mode of nutrition. Monera is autotrophic, heterotrophic, or saprotrophic. It depends. Protista are autotrophic or heterotrophic. Fungi are heterotrophic and basically saprophytic. That comes in exams also. Plantae, autotrophic because these plants do photosynthesis with which we get food. Animalia are heterotrophic and holozoic nutrition. Holozoic, what do you mean by holozoic? Holozoic means complete engulfing of food. Animals like us, we engulf the food. We do not have like small pieces of food. We just engulf the food. We have teeth. We bite them, chew them, and that's it. So this was all about the overview of the chapter. In the next part, we will go a little deeper into these Monera, Protista. Like we will see these separately. Then Monera, maybe Archaebacteria and Eubacteria. We will see those even separately. So best of luck and thank you.